Hi folks, it's day 52 today. Although I'm going to call this video day 51/52 because I missed yesterday, and I'm really sorry for that. I feel really bad. I feel like I let people down. I feel like I let myself down by not being able to do just a little 2-minute video. But yeah, yesterday was a tough day. I had a lot going on in my mind. My anxiety was all over the place. I had to take a lot of kind of diazepam during the day. And yeah, it was tough. And it all kind of stems from I had a therapy session on Friday, and you know, it was hard. Kind of brought up a lot of stuff from my childhood that yeah, it wasn't nice to kind of go back over that stuff, um, but necessary, I guess. And part of me just wishes that a lot of work that I've done previously and with this therapist and with my last therapist was doing this kind of inner child therapy where you imagine yourself talking to yourself as a child, and what would you say to that child and how would you treat that child. And I find it really, really difficult to do that because in my mind I just see it as it doesn't matter if I can go back and talk to that child because whatever happened to that child's already happened, and I can't change that, and I can't make it better for him because it wasn't better for him because I went through it, and it's kind of got me to where I am today. So I understand the concept behind this kind of therapy model of getting in touch with that inner child, because a lot of these kind of personality disorders and things like depression, anxiety, they can stem from childhood experiences. So it is important to kind of acknowledge that and to work through those experiences and try and gain a perspective that you didn't have as that child. But the whole concept of interacting, like me as an adult interacting with, let's say, 11-year-old me, I don't get it. I can't do it. I can look back and imagine how I would feel if it was another child, or if I saw a child who was 11 years old who was going through some heavy stuff. I would feel for that child. As I think that most people kind of have empathy, and they don't want to see children suffering, I guess. But looking back at my own childhood and trying to say, just communicate, to make sense of those childhood experiences, I can't do it. And I really struggle with that. And we covered a lot of stuff on Friday just about my guilt, because I brought it up before in one of my videos. I have a hell of a lot of guilt. It's like my default setting. I just feel guilty about all sorts of things. And especially as a child, there were certain kind of experiences I went through where I carry a lot of guilt, and I feel like I could have and I should have, been better, or I should have, I could have changed the outcome of certain situations if I'd acted differently or done something differently. And the truth of the matter is, I couldn't. I was a child back then, and children, there's only so much that a child can take on at a certain age. And it's all well and good as an adult to kind of look back and say, I should have done this or I should have done that. But I'm trying to kind of come at it with the idea that as a child, you're not responsible for a lot of things that go on in your life. You know, you don't have a lot of control over certain situations. Um, and, you know, you shouldn't be taking on responsibility for things that you shouldn't, you know, you aren't responsible for. You know, there are adults in your life who are responsible for doing certain things and making sure that certain things happen for you as a child. And, you know, it's not your job to make sure, you know, experiences happen a certain way, you know, and it's certainly not your job to feel guilty about, you know, things that you might have done as a child. And yeah, that's what I'm really struggling with at the moment. And I know it's really important stuff. It's like I wish I could go back and give like 11-year-old me the kind of perspective and the, you know, the knowledge of the way life is and how things should be. And but I can't, because it's too late. It's happened already, and here I am. So I don't know. It's a pickle. And the other thing I'm kind of struggling with at the moment is, you know, I have an illness, and that's hard for me to kind of admit and believe, because, you know, I talk about, I'm trying to do these videos to kind of, and I've done blogging and I've done articles, and it's all been to try and destigmatize mental illness and, you know, just show people that this is real and this is a real thing. But I can't in myself believe that what I'm going through matters, because I have such a, you know, very negative perception of myself. I've got like really low self-belief that, you know, when I see kind of people struggling with mental health problems, I feel for them so much that I want to help people. I want to help other, because I've interacted and I've been around a lot of people who have really, you know, serious issues. I spent a lot of time in hospital doing group therapy and stuff like that, and I've always wanted to kind of help the people around me, but I'm not willing to kind of almost help myself in the same way. It's almost like I feel that everyone else around me, you know, deserves more help than I do. So yeah, it's really hard, because even now, you know, I've been diagnosed with several diagnoses now. You know, I've got treatment-resistant depression, I've got complex PTSD, I've got social and generalized anxiety disorders. I mean, these are all real things. You know, I've been, you know, poked and prodded by a psychiatrist for the last 2 years. I've spent time in hospital. You know, I've interacted with my GP, with therapists. I've got medication that I've got to take for these things. And yet part of me still believes that I don't deserve anything because I'm not going through anything real, you know. And if I can't destigmatize it for myself, then I don't know, does that make me a hypocrite for trying to destigmatize it and make it better for other people? You know, surely I need to start with myself, you know, and admit to myself that I am ill, you know, I need help, and I'm, you know, it's hard. I'm really struggling with it, you know. I have a mental illness, but in my mind, it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't mean anything. I don't really know. I don't know if I'm making any sense here. So yeah, yesterday I was kind of going over it and over it in my head, and you know, just you know, I have an illness that I don't believe in, and I feel that's kind of it's a conflict within myself, I guess, that even though I've kind of been given these, like, it's a real diagnosis that's been given to me by GPs and psychiatrists. There's still part of me deep down that just doesn't believe it, and doesn't, just almost feels like I don't deserve, almost like that's a get out of jail free card for me, that, I don't deserve it, that even though I have all these problems, it doesn't matter because I don't matter. So there's still part of me that feels like I should just be normal, that I should just be able to get over this and get on with this. And I know that that's not the way it works. I know that because I have spent a lot of time around mental illness, and I have spent a lot of time trying to destigmatize it for other people. I'm trying to make people understand what it is. But I won't give the same consideration to myself, because deep down I have no self-worth. So even if I do have mental illness, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. It just... And part of me, I was looking into kind of what it means to have a mental illness. And I know what it means. I know how it affects people and their lives. This is as real. I read an interesting kind of meme on Facebook. It was like, you wouldn't tell someone with asthma that it's just all in their lungs and that they should just be able to get on with it and carry on with their lives. It's just, it's just something stupid. The way that some people would say, oh, it's all in your mind, just kind of, feel better, or just think about happy things, or just go and have a walk in the park. That'll make everything better. So yeah, mental illness is real, and this has negatively affected my life. And it is right now. It's kind of, I find it really hard to function from day to day at the moment. I can't really interact with the people around me the way I used to. I dread the thought of leaving my flat. I can't work. Commuting anywhere on a bus or train, it's just a nightmare. And yeah, this is my life. This has been going on for as long as I can remember, And there are times where I can function, where I can force myself to do things, but it ultimately leads to kind of like if I keep pushing and pushing and pushing myself to do things I feel I should be able to do, I just end up collapsing. I just push myself too hard. I end up having a breakdown. I've had like 2 or 3 breakdowns in the last 2 years. I've been in hospital twice. So this is real. I'm not faking this. I'm not trying to get sympathy or attention, or, I don't want any of that. And I think people who've watched these videos know that, even if people do give me sympathy or attention, I don't want it. I don't want any of that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing these videos to get attention and sympathy. Like I say, I'm trying to destigmatize mental illness for everyone around me in the world, so that people can understand what this is like for someone like me who's got depression and anxiety. But like I say, there's part of me that I'm in conflict with myself, because I'm trying to destigmatize it for people who don't understand it. Part of me doesn't understand it, even though I have it and I'm suffering with it. There's still a part of me that just thinks I should be able to get on with things, and I should be able to carry on my life as normal, and I should be able to go to work, and I should be able to interact with people, and I should be able to go and socialise. And that's hard. That's really difficult, because it's just a constant I'm like having a constant battle with myself, and it's what's the point of that? That's not helping me, and I can't stop it. And yeah, part of me is very cynical. Part of me is very kind of, like I say, telling me that this is nothing, that I should be okay, I should be able to get on with things. This is my own mind telling me these things. And there's part of me that looks back at my childhood and says, you know, get on with it. You know, you're not the only one that's had some tough times growing up. You know, nothing you've been through is any worse than what you've heard other people's have been through. In fact, you know, I've heard stories about worse situations that people have gone through. You know, when I was in hospital, my heart was breaking almost every day for some people that I was in therapy with. To see how much they were suffering and what they'd been through, I felt almost like an imposter or an intruder, that I shouldn't be there because my problems didn't amount to shit. So that I have this part in my mind that's always kind of on my back. It's always kind of like telling me that, you know, I'm wasting everyone's time, I'm wasting my time. And I don't know how to shut that voice up, because part of me believes it. But yeah, it's hard to come to terms with it. The fact that I'm mentally ill. I have a disability, like I have a mental disability, and it's no different to some, like, you know, if you have a physical disability, it affects your life, it affects how you can interact with the world. Mental disabilities are the same. You know, mental illness can stop you from living your life just as much as a physical disability can. And I know that because it has affected my life that way. But I can't stop that voice in my head. And if I can't if I can't resolve it, that argument within my own mind, I don't know how I'm going to be able to move forward. So yeah, it's bizarre. It feels bizarre that, you know, as much as I want to destigmatize mental illness, there's still a part of me that feels the same way that, you know, probably people who don't understand mental illness feels. The crazy part of my mind that's telling me that, you know, that it is all in my head, and that I don't deserve, you know, treatment, or there's nothing seriously wrong, or, you know, I should be able to carry on with life as normal. So yeah, that's what I've been kind of struggling with over the last couple of days. You know, I'm trying to accept the fact that I am ill, and that it is real, and it's a real illness, and it has real consequences and effects in my life. And I have to accept that this has had a negative impact on my life, and probably will do so going forward for most of my life. And I have to accept that I have no control over this, and that there's nothing wrong with it, you know, accepting that. You know, accepting that I have a real diagnosis, I have a real mental illness, and it is real, and it has real consequences. And that I deserve, I don't know if that's the right word, deserve to kind of feel the way I do. I'm allowed to feel the way that I do because it's an illness, and I have no control over it. So I can't just get on with my life, and I can't just carry on as normal, and I have to accept that. But yeah, it's been tough. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. All I can do is keep digging away at it, I guess. I suppose this is kind of like, I've come to terms with some things this weekend. I've come to terms with the conflict inside me, and that conflict inside me is making things worse, I think. So it's given me something I know I need to work on, and I don't know if I can get to a point where I don't feel this way anymore, but I feel if I don't kind of address this now and resolve the inner conflict I have within myself about whether or not I'm ill, really ill, or if I'm just kind of faking it because I'm not. I know I'm not, you know. There's no way I wouldn't fake something like this. This just doesn't make any sense. But, you know, there's that part of my mind that's telling me that, you know, I don't deserve the diagnosis that I have, that it isn't real, that I should be able to just get on with things. And I think until I resolve that conflict inside myself, I'm a bit stuck. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to start working on acceptance of my diagnosis, acceptance of my illness, acceptance of my new kind of limits that I need to put in place, that, you know, I don't know how to do that. I don't at the moment, but I have to do that somehow. And that's before I even kind of try and resolve all these childhood issues. But yeah, sorry, I've gone on a bit, but like I say, this is kind of like a double whammy. This is making up for yesterday. I'm going to leave it there. But if anyone's got any help or advice, or if anyone if I'm making any kind of sense, even, I don't even know if I'm making sense to you guys in this video. I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore. My head's just messed up. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm sorry I've gone on for so long. Yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow.